Welcome back, Clashers. The summer update should be right around the corner. Now, this is all just speculation, so take it with a grain of salt, but we have had a summer update in the month of June for the last 7 years, so I'm assuming that this year is going to be no different. So I would expect to see a summer update coming next month. Now, at what point next month? Usually Supercell drops updates early in the week, so like a Monday or Tuesday. However, we also have to consider that there's going to be the World Championship qualifiers starting on June 1st. So I would assume that they're going to wait for that to be finished before dropping in anything that does change the game. They don't want to drop it in the middle of that sequence, at least that's what I would assume. So I'm expecting around June 24th is when we might see the June update. I mean, the summer update. But again, that's just a guess. That's what makes the most sense to me. We'll have to wait and see when it actually comes, if it actually comes. I mean, you never know. Maybe this is when they break the cycle and we just don't get a June update this year, but I highly doubt that. I would very much be surprised if we didn't get a summer update. But anyway, I do want to talk about some things that I'd like to see in the summer update. So this is going to be my wish list for things to come in the game, and then we'll do a little bit of speculation as to what is likely to come. So the number one thing on my wish list for this video was actually going to be for the Roof Riders to get balanced. And actually, after I recorded the video, Supercell announced some balance changes, and they're going to go ahead and nerf the Root Riders. I don't know exactly when it's happening, but apparently it's happening soon, so I'm guessing sometime today, but we'll have to wait and see exactly when it happens. But I am super glad that they're actually balancing the game. Now, set aside the difficulty of the game, I don't mind if the game's going to be easier, which it looks like Supercell's leaning that way, which they should, because it does help support the players that are more casual, and that's the huge majority of the player base. So I think it's fine if the game's easy, but if you just look at the balance side of things, things have not been balanced with the Root Riders the way they have been. It's been like 95% Root Rider attacks, maybe even more in Legends League and far more CWL in competitive matches. So finally, they're going to actually give the Root Riders a third nerf, and hopefully this puts things into a better balance. I also want to mention that I know a lot of people have been saying here lately that the Root Riders aren't the problem, it's the heroes. Well, if you take a look at some of the Root Rider banned tournaments, if you take a look at one of my previous videos, we looked at a match where Root Riders are banned, you'll see that there is a much bigger variety of attack strategies and a lot fewer perfect ties, and clans aren't necessarily looking for the speedy attacks, and I think that's what this nerf is going to change. Even if the Root Riders are still usable, which it looks like they will be based on Clash Bashing's video, shout out to him, that's where I got my news today, then at least the Root Riders are nerfed enough that players aren't destroying bases in a minute or less, and they can actually go back to slower approaches. So we get to see more Super Bowler Smash, Electro Titan Smash, we get to see more Queen Charges. These are the types of things that we're missing from the current meta because of the way the Root Riders are, so I'm super glad to see this change coming in. Now, I'm not going to go over all the other balance changes. It was actually a lot of stuff for lower Town Hall levels. I think there were some other nerfs on defense for Town Hall 16, like the Eagle Artillery and Inferno Towers, but let's go ahead and move on to the next part of the wish list. My second idea, so number 2, is going to be some new war mechanics. This is something I've been asking for a little while, and I think the community would love to see as well. So just different things that we could do with regular wars. If we could spin just 5v5 wars like the esports style wars with a regular war spin without having to go to third-party apps like Discord to go find opponents and use the friendly war option, that would be amazing, and players could practice for stuff like the Clash of Clans qualifiers and actually get used to the format and all that before those actually come up, and that would be super helpful. That would grow the esports scene a good bit as well, because then players get interested in doing more of those style wars in actual tournaments. And for those who aren't familiar with the format, I'll go over it real quick. So you'd basically spin, it would be like 5-minute prep day, and then either 30-minute or 45-minute. 45 minutes, the typical esports format, but that's usually with timed hits. Obviously, you're not going to have timed hits, so I think 30 minutes for these regular wars would be fine. And then you could just spin them back to back to back. Of course, there would be no loot rewards and no XP given, because obviously that would be super exploitable, but that's fine. The purpose of these types of wars is for 1, to practice, and for 2, to have fun. Back when I was in WHF and some other clans, when I was doing more competitive stuff, we used to use the friendly war mechanic to spin these wars back to back to back. We'd literally sit down for hours at a time and play these matches, and it was an absolute blast. All right, moving on to number 3. Like I said in the balancing portion, it doesn't really matter to me how easy or difficult the game is if the game's actually balanced. However, if the game's going to be super easy, which Supercell wants it to be for the casual players, we do still need something like a pro mode. They said they're working on it, so part of my wish list is hopefully, if the game is balanced, hopefully they bring the pro mode in the next update. That way the competitive esports scene has some more competitiveness to it, because right now Clash of Clans is just becoming a racing game, and that's an absolute snooze fest. Moving on to number 4, something I would love to see is a new Super Troop. I do have a few ideas, which I'll talk about, but really whatever the Super Troop happens to be, I'd be happy to see it. I think something that would be really cool is if the healer got a Super Troop form, and something they could do with a super healer is to make it like a battle healer. So it's still a healer in the sense that it heals the troops around you, but it also deals damage. So if you guys have seen in the other games, the battle healer is a thing that already exists, and I think that would be the perfect super version of the regular healer to put into Clash of Clans. Another neat thing would be the P.E.K.K.A. There's already a Super P.E.K.K.A. in Clash of Clans. It's on the, I believe it's on Clan Capital. It's either Clan Capital or Builder Base. Either way, they're both the same thing, but it's just a tankier P.E.K.K.A. that explodes upon death and does a bunch of extra damage. I think that would be a neat Super Troop to implement. Maybe we start seeing some P.E.K.K.A. smashes coming back into the swing of things. And then the last idea I had was the Yeti. I think the Yeti could get a new super form, because we don't really see Yeti Smash either, even in tournaments without Root Riders. Yeti Smash just hasn't been a thing since like Town Hall 13. So if we got Super Yetis, maybe that changes. We get Super Yeti Smash. I don't really have any like solid ideas for what a Super Yeti could be, except maybe it becomes like a fire troop, and instead of Yeti mites, it's like fire spirits, like what the Flame Flinger tosses that the Yeti tosses out. So basically it'd be like a Yeti mite, but in addition to just doing damage to defenses, it also has that little fire effect, and it does a little bit of damage over time. I think that could be pretty cool. Let me know down in the comments below what kind of Super Troop ideas you have to bring into the game. They also said way back when Super Troops first became a thing that it was totally possible for there to be 2 different super versions of the same troop, and we have yet to see something like that. So maybe something that already has a super troop gets a new super troop, and I think that just opens up even more possibilities. Some things they could do is remove some super troops as well. The Super Giant and the Super Valkyrie in particular, I just don't see them being used ever. So those could be just wiped out of the game or completely redone. And the Super Miner is getting to the point where it's almost there. However, we do see on very rare occasions the Super Miner being used, especially on defense. We have been seeing that pop up on defense from time to time. So I think the Super Miner doesn't need removed. It just needs a little bit of adjustments. All right, and then my number 5 on this wish list is going to be training potions or boosts in general, also boosting your clan castle request time, because it's incredibly frustrating to have your training potion active, but you can't request troops every time your army is ready. That's actually super annoying. So you have to either spend gems to request for troops every single time, or you've got to use your raid medals to give yourself troops. That way you can let your cooldown actually cool down and then request troops again. So I would love to see the training potion also affect the clan castle time, or give us the option to boost the clan castle request time with gems. That would be better than spending gems every single time we got to request troops when we're trying to boost through our legends hits or war attacks or whatever it may be. Something else as an honorable mention here before we wrap up the video is the new archer tower and cannon levels. I thought we were going to get these earlier in Town Hall 16. Now I'm starting to wonder if we're going to get them at all, because it does seem a little bit weird to me that they would drop these basically halfway through the life of Town Hall 16, because Town Hall 16 is coming to an end in 6 months, and we're going to be 6 months into Town Hall 16 by the time this update drops. So seems like a weird time to me to add more defense levels. We could absolutely use them. I don't think that would be a bad thing at all, and I would like to see them, which if we do get them, we'd probably need another level for the multi-archer tower and ricochet cannon, which I kind of talked about the last time I talked about these new levels. But yeah, we may see them, we may not. I have no idea. I'd like to see them, but I just don't really think they're coming, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. But that is going to be it for my list. Let me know down in the comments below what would be on your wish list for the summer update in Clash of Clans. I'm optimistic to see things turn around with the current meta. The current meta is probably one of the worst we've seen in a while, but I know Supercell is aware, and I'm sure that they're going to fix it as soon as possible. Hopefully we've got an exciting summer update on the way. I'm very much looking forward to the sneak peek starting later next month, and hopefully we get some cool things. But in the meantime, if you guys want to see some awesome Town Hall 16 attacks that don't have Root Riders, I recommend checking out this video right here.